We are live. All right, let's get the camera set up here. How's it going, everybody? Hope you're having a splendid day. I'm having a splendid day because I got this today. So this is a 1979 Fender Stratocaster. As you can see, it is pretty beat up. It appears to be natural. It doesn't look like somebody relicked this on purpose, the body anyway. You can see a few things immediately. The bridge was replaced with a Kaler, at least a Kaler looking thing. I don't think this is actually a Kaler because it doesn't say Kaler on it anywhere. Why wouldn't they just put a Floyd Rose or like a real thing on it? Well, the person who owned this guitar before me committed sacrilege, and we're all going to collectively cry when we see why. Yep. This was a 1979 hardtail. You can see the checking. He removed the ferrules, and then he routed it out, and he put the Kaler. So that significantly deflated the value of this guitar, which is why I was able to get it today. And so here it is. That's why there's a Kaler. Disappointing, but I gotta say, as I told my friend who owns the shop that I bought this from, if there's a guy who would want a 1970s beat to shit sunburst Fender that has a Kaler on it and actually likes it, it would be me because the kind of music that I play. Would I rather have a hardtail? Absolutely I would. Who wouldn't? The pickups are original. The knobs appear to be original. The switch is original. Everything about this guitar from here down is original. But then I started looking at the neck, and I got a little worried. I'm going to pick you up and show you, take you on an adventure. So first, you're going to notice something's off here. What's going on here? And then let's look at the back. What is going on? So here's what happened. Also notice the shape of this headstock. The thing that will give you the biggest clue is coming. But notice how it's rounded, right? Notice the shape. Notice how it's not reflective. You know why? So the guy who owned this guitar owned it for like 50 years. He actually bought it from the owner of the shop back then. And then he ended up selling it back to him recently. He used this obviously as his number one. And what he did was he sanded off all of the clear coat on the back of the neck. He sanded off, or tried to sand off, on the fingerboard too, as you can see. And in doing so, he slightly scalloped it, as you can see here. Okay? But I haven't shown you something about this guitar on purpose. So if you know anything about these 70s Fenders, they applied the decal under the clear coat. What did I just tell you? He sanded off the clear coat. So, disappointment time. Couple of major things here that you're going to notice right away. First of all, where the hell is the bullet? I guess we can guess why, can't we? We've got a Kaler here. We got holes for a behind the nut lock here. Well, back then, if you wanted to put on a Kaler and a locking nut, you had to do something about this bullet because the bullet would stick up and then you couldn't install that. So he has changed the truss adjuster to this spoke wheel. Okay? That's why that doesn't look original. And why is the logo wrong? This is a counterfeit. It is not a counterfeit. I actually pulled the neck before buying it. What's happened here, from what I can tell, I can actually feel this logo here. So what they did was he sanded off all the clear coat, and when he did that, it took the logo and the serial number with it. So he put a new logo, but he picked the wrong kind. So I thought. Then I noticed something else. The shape. Does this look like a CBS to you? So what he did, you can see here, it's rounded. See how it's rounded? See how it, especially right here, see how it's rounded? He reshaped this to make it look like a pre-CBS shape, and then he put a pre-CBS logo on it. Now, why do I know this is real and legit? Well, from the outside, we can tell because it has the skunk stripe. That's one thing. The second thing is that the wear is pretty consistent. It doesn't look like wear that happened unnaturally. It looks very natural to me, the wear, that being right here. I'm not sure that he sanded the clear coat off of the fingerboard. I think this all just happened with age, potentially. Don't really know. But when we took it off, there was a stamp on the neck. I can't show you pictures during a live stream, but I took pictures. The serial number is on the body. It is a real Fender. A 1979 is what it came back as. It starts with S9. So there you go, 1979. And the neck appears to be the original neck. It has the micro tilt. It has the, as you can see there, it has the little silver disc on the neck heel that tells you that it is, in fact, a legitimate neck. So I guess it's possible that this neck is from a different 70s Fender, but it is a 70s Fender neck, absolutely. I'm noticing here that the fret ends are sticking out considerably, but they've been rounded. So it's kind of weird. A lot of the wood has been lost over the years. The fret wire does stick out, but it doesn't hurt to play because it's been rounded. A decision was made here to not shorten this fret wire for some reason. And if we look at the fret wire itself here, it is correct vintage frets, vintage height. All right. So there we go. I'm going to put this up on the stand and we're going to string it up real quick. Now, a couple of things. How did I get this? I actually did not pay any money for this guitar today. I made a trade involving my 2004 American Telecaster. So, you know, it is what it is. Some people will think that's a stupid idea. I never was in love with that Telecaster. I mean, you know the kind of music that I play if you've followed me for long enough. And while everybody should have a Telecaster, absolutely, I just saw this in the shop and just thought, I want it. I want this guitar. I played it yesterday for like an hour and a half. Helped sell an amp too, because a kid wanted an amp, and so they plugged me into it and I played it and then he bought the amp. But that's beside the point. This is a great guitar. It sounds really good. I really liked it. So I came home and thought, what do I have that might be sort of equivalent in value? And I came back and ended up with that American Telecaster. So, you know, that was my first American Fender. I'm going to miss it, but I never played it. And this thing is definitely more of my mojo. So we're going to go ahead and string this guitar now in real time. And I apologize in advance for this because it's going to be a little bit boring. But I will do my best to look at the camera and talk to you. Are they original tiny frets? It's hard to tell. They're either original or they were replaced at one point and then heavily played because they are short. They are short. They're not the tall jumbo frets that people are used to nowadays. It appears to be vintage in that sense. All right, so to string this, I've actually never strung one of these before, but I'm pretty sure you just take the ball end of the string and you stick it in the slot right here, I think. I've never done this. I think I need to take the arm and use it to move this, maybe? I don't fucking know. You guys tell me if you know. I've never strung one of these. That doesn't really help, does it? But I can at least grab it now. It's a better angle. There we go. There, grabbed it and turned it. Wow, so it's kind of like a, I don't know how to describe that. That's interesting. I don't know if I like this. We'll see. It had really good tuning stability in the shop, so I'm not worried about it from that standpoint. We're probably going to need to adjust the action as well because it was a little high. Now, this is a 725 radius, unless the guy went to town with his bevel and re-radiused it to make it more flat. I would think if you're going to add a Kaler to something like this, you're going to try to make it like a shred guitar. So he may have done something to that radius. I don't know. But it feels like a vintage 725. And if it is a vintage 725, I'm not going to be able to get it as low as I usually like it. And that's okay. That's something that I'm willing to accept on a guitar like this, because it's a 70s Fender, for God's sake. So I'm just stringing this up here. You can't see it, but I assure you that is what is occurring at this moment in time. I gotta find my string winder in my mess that I've made over here. It's around here somewhere. I'll find it in a second. All right. So I'm just wrapping the post here. All right. I did not find the string winder, by the way. I'll find it for the next string. Right now I'm just holding it down and turning it with my hand the old-fashioned way. By the way, I will come back and check the comments on the video here in a minute, but I want to get this on here first. Okay. I don't know. We'll see. The thing about this system is it moves as you tighten it. So eventually it's going to reach a point where, you know, it's going to keep moving down like this. Anyway, none of what I just said made sense with my words that I used, but you know exactly what I meant, I hope. There's my string winder. Found it. What I was trying to say is, just like a Floyd Rose, when all of the strings are applying tension here, it's going to move it slightly down like this, right? So I've never strung a Kaler, so this is going to be interesting. I'm curious to see how I do, and I'm also curious to see what you guys have to say about this, if there's something that I could do that would make this easier, although it's pretty cinchy as it is. That's a word I haven't used since I was a kid, anyway. So I'm just going to jam this in there like that. Man, there we go. And it's in there. Okay. So these do have my very, very favorite tuners of all time. All time. It's the 70s Fender tuners with the slots. I love those tuners in literally every way. I love the aesthetic. I love the function. I love how easy it is to string. I mean, it's just, it stays in tune amazingly well. I like the way they look. I mean, people really, really, really shit on 70s Fenders. It's like they get off on making fun of how bad 70s Fenders are. But I was talking to my friend about it today. I think he might be watching, and if he is, hi, how are you? Anyway, I was talking to him about it a few minutes ago, and we both agreed, like, the 70s Fenders that we've played were great guitars. And I think it's a little bit of survivorship bias. That being, all of the shitty ones ended up in the garbage or ended up getting cannibalized for parts casters or something else. So that all that's left today are the good examples of the 70s Fenders. So when you and I pick one up, having not really experienced them when they were new, we might say, whoa, these guitars are amazing. Wow. And then the value of them goes way up. That's what happened with Mustangs, right? Of course, we have the grunge movement to thank for that as well. But, you know, the Mustangs were made to be cheap student entry-level guitars. They were not meant to be fetching the prices that they're fetching today. And they were cheap. They were like the Bullet Squires of the day back then. They were the cheapest guitars that you could make, pretty much. Now, you could argue that maybe like the Music Master or the Duosonic would have that back then, but for all intents and purposes, it was a student guitar. That's why it was a shorter scale. It was cheap. It was meant to be an entry level. You know, one day you'll be able to get a Jaguar or a Jazzmaster, because that's what Fender was pushing as their premier model at the time. But then, because of Kurt Cobain and some other people, people started wanting them again. And older folks, like my friend who owns the music store, doesn't get it. He's like, why would you want that? Like, those are the student guitars. Those aren't very nice guitars. Why do you want that? Well, all the crappy ones, all the shitty ones, they all either were destroyed or they were broken down into parts or kept in a closet somewhere, or they're in some grandma's basement, or Lord knows where. The good ones are the ones that survive. So today, when you pick up a 60s or 70s Mustang. You might say, wow, this guitar is amazing. People were wrong about 60s and 70s Mustangs. That's not necessarily true. And that is called survivorship bias. And it is when the only example that remains is the one that survives, and all the reasons why people hated them no longer exist. The same could be said for things like DeLoreans, maybe, or Pontiac Fieros, if you want to talk about cars. People did not like those cars when they came out. And now people like them aesthetically, or they think they're cool. And people my parents' age would say, wow, weren't those Fieros the cars that catch on fire? Why would anybody want one of those? Well, survivorship bias would say the ones that catch on fire caught on fire already. And if it's not on fire, it was never going to catch on fire. So it's a good one. And if we inform our opinion of the Pontiac Fiero based on the ones that are around and didn't catch on fire, then the Pontiac Fiero is a reliable vehicle. So that's survivorship bias in a nutshell. I think that you can really apply that argument to these 1970s Fenders because those are the ones that are left, you know? I mean, and they're worth a lot of money now. I think he had this one hanging for about $2K. Now, it's a mom and pop store, so he sells things for a little more, and he is the kind of guy that likes to negotiate the old-fashioned way. So if it says 2K and you pay 2K, then you didn't do a very good job. You're supposed to talk to him about it first. But if you're going to try to fetch 2K for something, then it's got to be good, right? So you're not going to get 2K out of a guitar like this if it plays like shit. There's just no way. In this condition, too, at that. So there's our little lesson of the day. And I'm sure that you already knew that. I'm not saying that I've taught you anything. It's just that's one of the most fascinating things about the guitar market that just every time I think about it, it fascinates me. And it actually plays into something that happens today. I'll tell you another story real quick about my day. So when I went in there originally, when this all started, it was because he had a 1975 Mustang. The 1975 Mustang, it was Olympic white, at least it used to be. It's now aged to a yellow naturally. It was a beautiful age. People pay lots and lots of money to relic a guitar to look the way this one looked because it was naturally aged to a yellowish color. It had a little spot of original Olympic white right in this area where your hand would rest. It was a beautiful guitar. It had the original, everything was original. It had the original tremolo arm. It had the original bridge, the original pickups, the original switches, the original pots. 100% original. He had it hanging on the wall for, I think, $2,200. And I was trying to make a deal with my American Telly and a few other things to get that guitar. But then I saw this one hanging on the wall, and I tried it, and I fell in love with it. And I had a hard time deciding which one I wanted, you know? Which one of those two guitars did I want? And I had to tell myself, dude, survivorship bias. The Mustang in a vacuum. A Mustang and a Strat of similar vintage. This was the one that everybody wanted back then. This was the premier model that they wanted. Not that Fender wanted you to have. Fender wanted you to have the Jazzmaster or the Jaguar. This is the one everybody wanted. So the fact that I'm even debating a Mustang that costs more money versus a Strat that costs less money of similar vintage, it kind of made me laugh a little bit because it proves that that whole survivorship bias thing really works. So objectively, what was the better guitar? Well, it's laying here on the bench right now. Okay, story time is over. I would like to now check the action on this and get it set as good as I could get it. But before we do that, we need to tune it. So I have another guitar over here that I can use as a reference pitch because I don't have a tuner sitting here right now. I'm going to go grab that other guitar and I'm going to turn on my PV Bandit and we're going to plug this in and tune it up real quick. Okay, I'll be right back. I'm still here. I'm just on the other side of the room grabbing my other guitar that I have out in the garage today. And I'm also grabbing my cable so that we can test this out. I hope you can still hear me. I don't know if you can or not. Before we do that, though, I do want to show you something. So hold on a second. There we go. Before we do that, I want to show you something. I just restored this yesterday. This is a Gretsch TK300. This is a 1978 body. So what happened was, I saw this on Facebook Marketplace, the body. The guy told me that he played it at a show in the 90s, he smashed it on stage, and he didn't touch it since. All he had was the body. You can tell where he smashed it because the top of this pop broke off. He had replaced the bridge pickup with a super distortion. This is a vintage one, by the way, from the 70s. And he had it for a couple decades. Sold it to me. I found out that it used a 24.5-inch scale length, which is just stupid. Go look right now, and I bet you $1,000 you can't find me a 24.5-inch scale length neck that I can afford. So what I did was I went and got this Warmoth neck from my friend that I bought this from at his shop. This is a conversion neck for a Strat that makes a Strat a Gibson scale length, which is 24.75. So I had 0.25 inches to make up. So what I did was I just moved it in the pocket a 1/4 inch so that the scale length became 24.75, okay? If I had put this neck originally where it went, it was some weirdo scale length. But anyway, this is what we're going to use for the reference pitch today. This guitar is amazing. It's a wraparound tailpiece. It's just a really weird guitar. Obviously, like I said, the neck is not original. I bought slotted tuners to use for this. I also got a custom decal on it, which I really like, that headstock. I don't know if you can see that, but it looks really cool. And then I got one of these adjustable brass nuts. I absolutely love them. It prevents you from having to cut a nut. I'm not very good at cutting nuts. So if you have these adjustable slots, it's a lot easier. Then you don't have to cut anything. So anyway, that was a bit of a detour. Let me set this guitar down. Let me grab my cable and turn on my amp so that we can test out this 1979 Strat. We're using the PV Bandit today. That is my test bench amp. My Plexi is just out of reach, and I think that would be a bit overkill for what we're doing right now. Okay. All right, it's on. All right, let's get a reference E flat. I tuned to E flat, so. Okay, so there's our E. Now I'm gonna hold on a second. I gotta stretch these strings. I'm sorry. I knew I was forgetting something. I was like, why does that sound so awful? Well, probably should stretch your strings. I do really like on this design, like I said, this is the first time I've ever strung a Kaler. I do really like how the string terminates right here. There's like less room for it to move around. I really like that. It looks like there's a little screw here that allows you to do it up, which is set to be a hardtail sort of. It only goes down, I should say, not hardtail. Down only. Very cool design. I really like this. Okay, anyway, let's tune it now that I've done that. I can already tell you that the action on this is going to be too low, and we're going to have to adjust it, and that's okay. All right, let's see. How low is it? You can hear it. I think the G string's a little low. And the E string's a little low too. Now let's turn on the amp and see what it sounds like. All right. All right, I have a strap. I'm gonna go grab that because I don't want to hold it like that anymore. That is not. That's one thing to try a guitar out in the store that way, but I don't want to stand here and try to test this action and stuff that way. All right, so I'm gonna add put the strap on real quick, and we're gonna try it out and see how it sounds. All right, so that. This guitar is quite heavy, I will say, which I like. I happen to like that a lot. Okay, you can see it, right? All right, let me grab a guitar pick off of my key ring. Thank you to my sister for giving me this thing. Hold picks. Isn't that cool? Always have them with me. All right, we're going to just check it now. The action's definitely going to have to be adjusted, I can already tell. But, yeah. Yeah, the tuning stability on this so far is not great, but I think that's simply because the strings are brand new. All right, I'm going to turn on the overdrive channel. All right, so I'm getting it well stretched out here. One thing that I'm noticing that's kind of weird is the string does not want to stay on the this low E string does not want to stay on the saddle. It's like popping off. All right, let's go ahead and get this tuned up again. By the way, I do have a tuner over here. You can't see it, but... All right, let's change channels. Where's that button? What the hell? Hold on a second, I'll be right. I don't think I can change the channel. I don't have the foot switch over here. That's okay, don't need to change it. So you can hear a little bit of buzzing here. I think that maybe some of these strings, like the G string, might be too low. It might be okay, actually. All right, I'm going to take you over to the real amp now, and we will play it with the real amp. So hold on a second. I'll be right back. I'm going to take the guitar over there, and then I'm going to take you over there, and we're going to set up that amp. So bear with me just a moment. I will be right back. Okay. Oh. Okay. I'll be right back. I'm just plugging this in. Getting this all turned on over here. And then we will play through the big rig. All right. There we go. I think everything's on now. It is. All right, I'm coming to get you. Okay. Whee! Let's go on an adventure. Oh, it's a mess. Oh my goodness, it's a huge mess. Whatever shall we do? Okay. All right. So what we got going on here? First of all, I have my Plexi with a power brake. The power brake is awesome because look at that volume level. Woo-wee! That'd blow my ears off, blow the roof off, and blow the walls down. But with the power brake, oh. All right. Let's turn on the Variac. Variac is at 91 volts. Let's turn on the amp. Let's go over here and let's look at the pedal board. So we got a Hendrix wah and to do a tuner, vintage phase, flanger, and then there's a pitch box. It's kind of like an Eventide, a really cheap compressor, SD1 5150, and that goes into this Echoplex preamp. And then the 87X's loop has the Echoplex delay and the Holy Grail reverb in it. So that's pretty cool. Now I'm going to put this camera into the tripod. And apologies in advance, but unfortunately, it mirrors the video, which really, really pisses me off. Because I hate it that it does that. It mirrors the video. I think it makes it look really stupid, but that's just me. I don't know. It seems that others agreed because they bitched and moaned at me about that last time because it was doing that. So anyway, here we go. In all of its glory, this is it right here, 1979 Fender Stratocaster. I think it looks awesome. Feels really good in the hands too. I'm gonna drop this a little bit so that you can see the guitar better. There you go. All right, let's get it tuned up again, and then we will go to town. I might need to adjust the action on a few strings, but for this demo that we're doing here, that's fine, and we don't need to go through that. It's pretty easy. You just drop the saddle until it stops choking out, you know? See how well it stays in tune with brand new strings. Here we go. All right, this is raw with absolutely nothing with the Plexi. sound to you guys, like audio quality wise? Does it sound loud enough? Let's turn on the Echoplex preamp now, with the Plexi cranked up. Some of that darkness could be coming from the attenuator, because it is attenuated pretty heavily right now. Turn it up one more notch. All right, let's try the Holy Grail and the Echoplex. Just the Holy Grail, no Echoplex. Let's put it on the neck. I think that sounds awesome. I really like that. Turn on the delay now. I don't know. Sounds really good, but here's something that I want to do. I want to try with the 5150 overdrive on the bridge pickup. So it's not on yet. Here we go. Okay, so that saddle problem, it really keeps creeping up. I gotta figure out what to do about that. The string keeps wanting to jump off of the low E saddle. I think I know the answer to this, and it's probably shim the neck and raise the bridge. That's how you have to do it on like a Jaguar or a Jazzmaster that does this. if the string keeps popping out of the saddle, it simply means that there's not enough of a break angle. So to increase the break angle, you add a shim, and that raises. So if this is the bridge and this is the heel of the neck, when you add a shim, it raises the neck up slightly. Okay, so now there's a break angle that's even steeper, and then you raise the bridge accordingly. The headstock is still in the same place, okay? The headstock is still here, and the end of the neck is here. So when you shim, it goes like this, and then the bridge has to go up too, so you create an angle. Yeah, so there you go. That's the 79 Fender, and I like it. It does sound a little dark, but I think that might be the attenuator. Do you guys want to hear it through a 1973 Fender Baseman? I have one, just right there. I got to figure out the tuning of this Kaler. I like it in principle, but I don't like that the string keeps popping out. Let's try the Baseman. Let's try the Baseman. I'm gonna go plug it in. All right. All right, it's on. Just waiting on it to warm up a little bit. Yeah, we'll see what it does through the Baseman. I'm pretty sure that that darkness is from the attenuator. There's no attenuator on the Baseman, so. I think that sounds good. So what's cool about the Baseman 10 is it has a master volume. A lot of people don't like that, but I do, because I can crank the channel I like. This is stainless steel 10s. I have terrible dyshydrosis, so I can't use nickel strings. I have to use stainless. So these are stainless steel, which should be brighter. So, I don't know. awesome. It makes you want to play a certain way. Let's try it with the SD1 in front of the Baseman. It cleans up really good too, by the way. So like, this is everything up all the way. Thank you. I mean, it does everything that you want a Strat to do, you know? It's got that, that thing, it gives you that inspiration to play, you know? That kind of music. It just sounds so Strat-like, you know? I love it, I love it. I used to not like Strats. Like recently, I would argue that a Strat was not a good guitar. I did not like them. My first guitar was a Strat. My first real guitar was a Strat, and I just grew further and further away. They always frustrated me. They always pissed me off. I never liked them. They never were my vibe. This one's different, though. This one, you really feel different when you play it. The 70s. So I have thoughts about that DI thing. I'm 100% against DI. And here's why. You are not actually hearing the guitar with DI. Me in this room right now, I'm hearing the Fender Baseman 10 coming out of those 4 speakers, bouncing off of this ceiling, bouncing off of this floor, and entering my head, you know? If I put DI, you're not hearing what I'm hearing, you know? I mean, how many times have you tried to mic up a cab and it sounds like shit, but like in the room it sounds awesome? So that's the reason why. Now, I do mic up the cabs sometimes. I've started doing that with different reviews. Like, there's a couple that are coming out in the next few weeks that I mic'd up this Big M Marshall cab right here. So yeah, for a live stream, it's kind of hard to do. But yeah, the DI just kind of... I'm not against it necessarily like that I hate it. I just don't really like it because it's not really a fair assessment of what things really sound like. The room darkening this tone and changing it is what it really sounds like, you know? They didn't design this amp to go directly into a board, you know? 1973, they weren't thinking about that. Not at all. In fact, it was a bass amp. On the other hand, I will concede, all of the guitar tones that we love, most of them, are essentially DI. Because when you record an album, you don't record like this. You don't record in the room, you're micing the cab. So when we think of a guitar tone, we're hearing that. We're hearing that mic'd up, but we're also hearing post-production, post-processing too. Can we really replicate that sound? Maybe if we mic the cab up and apply the same post-processing and mastering techniques. But you're not going to get that instant response in a room. So, it's a give and take. I do agree with you, though. I think that's a good point. It's just not for me. I like doing things in one take, one shot in the room. But I understand people might not like that. Thank you. Live in Argentina and can't afford it. Congratulations, it's incredible. Thank you. I think it's incredible too. I traded a lot of stuff for it today. So some of it's probably like confirmation. You know how we buy something and then we go on YouTube and watch a video about it and we're like, yeah, it is awesome. I didn't waste my money. This is kind of that, but I'm making the video for myself with my own guitar. So, but no, honestly, I wanted to show you guys. I was excited about it. I think it's a really unique guitar, and it's in and of itself too. The fact that it's got a Kaler and the weirdness about the headstock logo and the neck and everything. But, I think something about this neck plate makes me play it different too. I don't know why, but that 3-point neck plate, that 3-bolt neck plate, I just absolutely love it. I love it. I think I got a good trade. I don't really miss my Telecaster that I traded for it all that much. Because you can find a mid-2000s American Standard Tele in 5 seconds. You can't find an affordable or a tradable 79 Strat with a mod that I actually like, this Kaler. I just need to get used to it, Also, I don't know if you weren't here at the beginning, it used to be a hardtail. That breaks my heart. It breaks my heart that somebody did that. Of course, had they not done that, I wouldn't have been able to get this because it would have been worth a lot more money. But holy cow, man, look at that. Look at that. A 1979 Fender Strat hardtail that they routed and put a Kaler in. Man, why did they do that? I got the Tele from that store. So I traded almost all of my cheap guitars for that Tele, like in a big trade. It was like 8 guitars for that Tele. And then I traded that Tele, a Line 6 DL4, that Marshall Plexi pedal that I didn't like, and something else. And I got this. So, am I underwater a little bit? Sort of, but that's the nature of trading, You can't trade something and expect to get market value. If I trade something that cost $1,000 new, it's probably worth $800 used, which means I'm probably going to get $500 to $600 in credit in the traditional sense in a trade. Now, luckily for me, the person who owns my store or owns the store is my friend. We're good friends, and so I can be completely blatantly honest with him, and it's nice to have a friend that does that. And I do think it's worth it. Even if I were underwater by a significant amount, let's say, sometimes you can't make a guitar good. I had that American Tele. We never reviewed it on the channel because I didn't like it. And I didn't want to shit all over American Telecasters because generally they're good guitars. And I just know it wasn't a great example. I liked it when I got it, but I didn't have anything to compare it to. And then as years have gone by and I've gotten Gibsons and all kinds of other guitars, I realized it needs a new fret job. It needs maybe even a new neck. I don't know. It wasn't worth it. And I showed it to him. I was totally honest with him about it. And he said, you know what? It'll sell in this store, no problem. So I ended up getting this, which also needs work. What makes this guitar better than others in your opinion? One thing is definitely the pickups, and that's subjective, right? Some people like super hot Strat pickups. These are not super hot. Not super hot at all. So that's one reason, is the pickups. The second thing is how it sounds, which goes with the pickups. And how it looks matters, by the way. How it looks does matter. It looks awesome. Short story, when I was a kid and I was first interested in guitars, I went on the internet because that was a thing that you did that was an event, not something that was just there all the time. I got on the internet, which was a phrase we used back then, and looked at pictures of guitars. And the first two pictures of guitars that I saw, that I recognized, that I identified and I remember to this day, one of them was a 1963 Firebird 7 Gibson. It was red, it had gold hardware, 3 mini humbuckers, and a vibrola. That was one. The other one was a Fender Stratocaster. It was a vintage Fender Stratocaster, sunburst with a black pickguard. So, you know, whenever I see a sunburst Strat with a black pickguard, it reminds me of that naivety and that wonder and that dream of my youth when I couldn't really play all that well, but I knew what it was. I knew what it looked like. In art class, I drew that guitar as an art project. My mom probably still has it in her house somewhere, that drawing. But so every time I see one like this, I always am like, oh man, that reminds me. So when I saw this one, and it was vintage, and it's beat to hell, and it looks like it has a life of its own, that's another reason I like it better. Not just personal sentimentality, but when you find an older guitar, I think mojo is a thing, but not in the sense that there's like a spirit that lives in the guitar and it makes it better. No, no. It's the same thing with aesthetics. If you pick up a guitar and you think, I think this looks amazing, I think this feels amazing, it makes me feel a certain way inside when I hold this and think about how old it is or how lucky I am to get to have it. It makes you play better. So it is a better guitar for you. Eddie Van Halen's Frankenstrat is a perfect example of this, right? To him, that guitar was a piece of garbage, you know? And you give that guitar to, but it was sentimental, special to him. He built it. It was his. So he was able to be inspired to play all kinds of crazy things. You hand that exact same guitar to somebody else and they're not going to be able to do the same things with it that he did because they're not feeling the same way. If I handed you this guitar, you would not be able to play it the same way, probably because you don't have that connection of drawing that drawing when you were a little kid, you know? Another example is this. I built this one myself, okay? I call it the Annihilator. I guarantee you if somebody else picked this guitar up, they think it was a piece of garbage. They would hate it and it wouldn't play very well for them. Because objectively, it's probably not a very nice guitar. I'll admit that. It has a Warmoth neck, which is cool, but little shitty things. Like, look, I had to put pieces of brass under the lock nut because it was too low. So I took the tape and just covered it so it wouldn't cut me. Little stupid things like that that you do for your own guitars, you know? So I think that how something looks matters. How something makes you feel matters. That goes into branding too. And what's on the headstock doesn't matter, except it does matter. Number one, it gives you a certain sense of a standard of quality control, but also it might make you feel a certain way. When I'm playing a Gibson in a vacuum, if I played a guitar that said Gibson on it and the exact same guitar that said Glary on it, let's say for the sake of argument they felt and sounded identical, I would play the Gibson better because I would feel in my heart, I'm playing a Gibson, this is awesome, I'm lucky that I get to play this. And I'd play it better. Therefore, the Gibson is better because of what it says on the headstock. That's me though. You may not be that way. What it comes down to is how you personally feel when you hold a guitar. And when I personally hold this guitar, it was kind of like the scene in Harry Potter when he gets the wand that's his, you know, and he picks it up and his hair blows back and that's kind of what happens with this guitar. That's what happens with the one I just showed you. There's a couple guitars like that. So yeah, anyway, that's another reason that this guitar is better. And then the last reason is the neck. The neck feels really, really, really good. And I think it's because the guy who owned this, yeah, the wand does choose the wizard. The guy who owned this before me shaped it. So it's not the normal profile that it should be. I don't even know how to describe it to you, and it's probably because it's like a custom by hand hack job. Yeah, so anyway, let's plug this back into the Plexi. And we'll play it for a few more minutes before I end the stream. All right. Come on. Plexi is on. Yeah, the Plexi is on. It's staying in tune now, by the way. hands are getting cold. It's a little cold out here in the garage today. Oh, you gotta tighten up here. All right. I mean, what more can I say? There's nothing I can say. That doesn't matter who's playing it. That sounds awesome. It sounds awesome. I can't stop playing it. It's so fun. It's so fun. Dr. Rhythm 808. I got one right here. He's not here right now, but he'll be back later this week. I wish this one were a hardtail. It used to be, and somebody committed malpractice. But that's okay. I'm the kind of guy that uses trims. I appreciate that the single coils are able to do that. Like a lot of single coils, you can't get away with that. That's on the bridge. If I move it to the bridge and middle, it sounds, I don't know, I don't like this as much. It sounds good, but not for that. It's so fun. It's so fun. I love this guitar. I love that it can do all of that stuff. It shouldn't be able to. It just shouldn't. It should not be able to, but it does it. And yeah, people like Yngwie only use single coils. I'm not that kind of guy, you know? This is bridge position, yep. It just sounds great. You can really hear the single coil smack right here. I just know that they're the stock singles that came with it. Honestly, it sounds almost like anything else that I put through the Plexi. It's weird. Just for the sake of comparison, I'm gonna go get the Super D guitar and compare it directly. So, hold on a second. Alright, this one is my favorite guitar. It's the one that I built. And we're going to try this one so you can see directly what the comparison is between the two. Yeah, so there you go. It's interesting how much more bassy this sounds right after playing the 79. Because normally the super distortion is kind of like, it's not super bassy usually. It cuts through pretty well. So hearing it right after the single coils is really funny because it makes it sound like a bass guitar almost. It's funny. All right, let's put this one back on and then I'm gonna call it. A few more minutes. Is there anything in particular that you guys want to see with this guitar before I go? Okay. The head of the trem arm just fell off while I was playing. I guess my picking hand was spinning it. That's funny. I accidentally circumcised my tremolo arm. Whoops. There we go. I gotta figure out this E string thing. It keeps popping out of the saddle. It's pissing me off. I'm in E flat. That's a Strat right there, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, well, saw the saddle so it doesn't pop out. So Joe, this is actually a roller saddle. Okay, Joe, thank you, because people bitched about this last time. Oh, the camera's backwards. Ugh! I can't control it. I can't find a setting in there. So there, I'm just imitating Jimi Hendrix. There you go. Although the headstock should be upside down in that case, right? So should I be playing it like this? Anyway, so I can't saw the saddle because it's a roller saddle. It's round. Can you see that? So what I'm going to have to do, it has micro tilt. So with micro tilt, I'm going to have to shim the neck up and then raise the bridge a little bit. That's the only thing I can do. That would then, the neck angle would be better. The break angle would be better. Because then the nut would be lower and the bridge would be higher, which would give more of a break angle of the string coming off of the saddle down toward the nut, sort of like on a Gibson. As you can see, the way it is right now, it's almost straight as an arrow. I mean, look how shallow that angle is. I don't know if you can tell, but that angle is very, 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 very shallow. And that's exactly why. Jaguars and Jazzmasters do this too. So it's because of the way that the bridge is in relation to the nut. But this guitar, man, it's a winner. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Don't let people tell you that 70s Fenders are shit. Maybe they used to be, but the ones that are left aren't necessarily terrible. Okay, I think that's it. Unless there's anything else you guys wanted to see. I actually am not left-handed. The camera is backwards. It's like, you know when you look in a mirror And you're like, oh yeah, my good side is right here. You know, and you're looking in the mirror. But then like, you see a picture of yourself and you're like, wait a minute, my good side's on the other side. What? It's like a mirror. So it mirrors it. If you look at the word Fender, see? What the hell, man? Why is it doing that? I don't know. It pisses me off because it doesn't accurately represent the world that I am in. It's like you're looking at me through a mirror, and I'm looking into a mirror. It helps me, sort of, because, you know, have you ever tried, like, dancing in front of a mirror, like learning how to moonwalk or something? It's easier, because everything's backwards, right? But imagine if the mirror were flipped and everything was right, then everything would be backwards for me, but it would be correct for you. And I prefer it that way, honestly. It irritates me. It pisses me off. And I went to my phone settings, and it did not used to do this. Takes punches to the wrong side of the face. Yeah, well. Do you guys think that this guitar is gig ready? I have a gig in about 10 days. I will be live streaming it. I was going to live stream the gig last time, and we had no service, so it was a failure. But this time, it's a venue I've played like 15 times, so I'm going to live stream the gig. Yeah, I do need to dial in the bridge better. I agree. It is ready. Play a song. I can't play a song all by myself. I gotta have somebody behind me, right? Unless I play something really, really low key. Carl, interesting story. I taught myself to play the guitar by watching Jimi Hendrix at Woodstock on VHS, because he was left-handed, so I was able to watch him and copy him. Let's see. I did used to do late night songs, so I don't have like my normal stuff out here. Normally I have like my computer with backing tracks and all kinds of crap, but I don't have backing tracks or any of that out here. There are songs I could play by myself, of course, but I just don't have the equipment right now, and my voice is kind of not great at the moment. I'm having very bad allergies because all the damn flowers decided to wake up in the last couple of weeks. So Matt, I used to do these live streams like midnight, 1, 2, 3 in the morning, like all the time. And then I would just pick up a random backing track. It was fun. I enjoyed doing that, but then life got in the way. Now I have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, so it makes that kind of hard to do now. I'm doing this right now while they're napping. I actually need to go in and wake them up in a second, I think. If the string keeps popping out, go back to a regular bridge. I can't because it was a hardtail at one point. And then they routed it for a Kaler. So I'm going to have to shim it. But that's okay. That's not a problem. So it could be converted back into a hardtail, but I don't know if you've seen a Kaler route before, but essentially what it is they cut out a piece about the size of the inside of this bridge, about like this, and pretty thick, like about like this thick down into the body. So there's this big, gigantic hole right here where the old bridge would have gone. So if I take this off, there's going to be a big hole. So what I could do is cut a piece of wood that's exactly the same size and glue it in, and then drill the holes for the strings back into it to make it a hardtail again. That would be the only way to get it back. I can't just simply put the hardtail bridge back on, unfortunately. I think I will keep it. I like the Kaler, but I mean, come on, who doesn't want to have a 70s hardtail Strat? Like, who doesn't? That's like one of the coolest guitars ever made, in my opinion. I would love to have. If I had an easy way to make this a hardtail, I'd do it. I need to take this off. Mr. Brady, I might take this off and send you some pictures so that you can see what I'm talking about, because it's a very unfortunate thing that was done to this guitar. It's very heavy, by the way, which I like a lot. When I bought my Gibson Les Paul, I specifically bought the most heavy one I could find. I forget how much it weighs, 11 pounds, 12 pounds? Sweetwater, you can choose your weight, the one that you like. Gilmore did do it. That is the way you do it, too. You take it off, and then you get a piece of wood, and then you stick it in there, and then you can paint it or not, glue it, and then drill the holes through. Yeah, I hope I can get it straightened out. I think it'll be okay if I can shim the neck. Hey, the heaviness, that's how I feel, honestly. It makes me, again, this goes back to what I said a minute ago, it makes me play it better because it's heavy. I know that I can play it like this, and it'll be fine. That sounded awful because it threw the strings out of tune, but, you know, I like how heavy it is because then you feel really confident that you can just kill the guitar. It doesn't matter. I like that I can play it hard, you know? When it's a really heavy guitar, you get that confidence that you're not gonna snap it or break it, you know? Sounds awesome. I think there's a squirrel on my roof. I just heard chickadee, 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 chickadee up above my head. Anyway, that was weird. We have a squirrel problem in this town. They're everywhere. They've taken over the whole town. My wife planted tomatoes one summer, and they were finally ripe, and we were going to go pick them, and the squirrels literally ate all of them. All of them. They were all gone. They took them all. One of them, we caught him running off with it, holding it. So we got squirrels that run this city in secret. There it goes again. Okay, this has been the 79 Strat and the Plexi. And me. And I appreciate all of you. This was fun. I like setting new guitars up on a live stream. It's more fun. It's slower, but it's more fun. You know, you get something new and you play it and you're just like, man, I want someone to hear this. Well, I've learned that I can do this with you guys. So thank you. I will. I'll go be dad right now. I appreciate all of you very, very much. Please subscribe if you want to. I do stuff like this randomly. And new videos coming out this weekend. I honestly forget what it's about. I already filmed it and it's already been posted. It just isn't live yet. So I guess you'll see it when I do. Thanks again. See you next time. Keep on rocking. Bye-bye.